The year is 2013. 2 years since Skyrim. 5 years since Bethesda's last Fallout. And we'd heard nothing. Fans are starved. Ravenous for anything at this point.
I've never seen that movie.
Any scraps they could find. Voice actors' tweets. Employee leaks. Bethesda staff sightings. They'd take anything. But on the 14th of November 2013, a website appears online. The Survivor2299.com. On it, Fallout's Vault-Tec logo and a countdown to December 11th. That was just 4 days after the
Wasn't that fake?
Game Awards, where Skyrim was announced 3 years ago.
Oh no.
Dig through the online.
Fuck. I should have known what that is. I forgot. I think it was like a patch for like an old game or something.
Directory, and its publisher, ZeniMax Media. Still, some are skeptical, but then 3 days later, ZeniMax Media actually files the trademark for Fallout 4 in Europe. They'd also said nothing about the website. If it wasn't legit, surely they'd just come out and say so. This could only mean one thing. The next Fallout was here. Bethesda hadn't abandoned us. They were finally throwing a bone to the little guy. And fan speculation goes wild.
Oh, this was
Then
before
comes the
Fallout
Morse
4.
codes. Then the Caesar shift cryptography. Then the Visioneer ciphers. Fans are sat at home in their pants for hours deciphering them. They even find a working phone number on the website, which leads to more codes. Some of these codes reference an actual radio frequency in Massachusetts, which sounds like this.
Static code.
Bethesda's YouTube channel is even linked in the source code of the website. This was serious stuff. Bethesda had gone above and beyond with the viral marketing here. Every gaming outlet is talking about it, and there's even Facebook pages and YouTube channels with daily updates monitoring it. The subreddit watching the website's every move. The 6th of December 2013, almost 2 weeks ago.
You know what? This would be brilliant marketing. Companies should do this if they want to market their game. Let's say a game is kind of crashing down. They hire like a third party to do this whole elaborate like marketing thing in the background with a timer ticking down. And then nothing happens. And then they just come out and say, we weren't responsible for that. It was just a troll. Someone just did it. Someone just trolled us. But it's great marketing.
And fatigue is beginning to set in. But it's now just 1 day before the Game Awards. And 5 days before the countdown ends. The hype is tangible. And Todd and the boys hit us with this tweet. What? It's gotta be a joke. Some sort of sick joke. But then fans boot up the website. And my god. Gone was the timer.
It was a troll. I was right.
That was left. A rickroll hosted on a server somewhere in Poland. A dark day. 3 weeks of speculation and hype, countless videos on YouTube, and dozens of hours of people's lives spent cracking random ciphers and lining up rivers on Google Maps.
It's pretty funny.
For absolutely nothing. Naturally, they're not pleased. The guy behind the website does an AMA on Reddit, and is vilified by the community instantly. We hear nothing else about Fallout for a while, and Fallout fans return to the darkness. June the 2nd,
Why would you do an MMA?
Another Fallout-themed countdown timer appears. We'd been burned before. Turn it off. But turns out, this time, it's actually real. And on June the 3rd, it's nearing the end. And finally, after years of anticipation, Fallout 4's announcement trailer is actually upon us. June the 14th. It's E3.
You know, I remember how fucking hype and excited people were for game releases. I remember I had an iPhone 4S or something. And I was a hardcore Call of Duty fan ever since Call of Duty 4. Not anymore. But I remember back then, like if you know, like the App Store, it didn't have many apps. Like, um, I don't even know if it had like the typical like top. No, I don't even think it had the top 100 trending and stuff like that. Like essentially, if you want to find an app on App Store back then when iPhone 4 came out, you had to essentially search it up. Or like there were so few popular apps that you could basically just like scroll through the, I don't know what they had, homepage or whatever, by category or something, and you'd be able to find it because there were so few apps like back then. Not like crazy low, but fairly low. And it was like, also it was only like 10% usable apps. Like the rest were not spam, but they were like super niche products, like a notepad or like a calculator or something like that. Anyways, but game releases used to be so hype that back then, and I don't think people care enough now to do it. Back then, if a new Call of Duty came out, someone released a fucking official app. I guess it's unofficial app. They released an app with a countdown on it, and I downloaded that every time. And that was so sick. You could download an app showing you the countdown, because typically the actual companies didn't have like a countdown on their websites ever. They had a date, but it's not the same. So you could download an app for it. Like they don't even do that anymore because no one gives a shit. But back then it was such a big deal. So even having like a dedicated app to check the countdown was like a super cool thing. And also that was back then when it took so much more effort to actually develop an app. Like now I could go on Adalo or whatever. I could make a countdown for a app like in 5 minutes probably.
And Bethesda Game Studios is holding their first full press conference. Todd strolls out on stage again, confidence radiating. He's met with thunderous applause. Again, the claims are bold.
All of this just works. And again, it just works.
Hold on. Is that the release date? That's just 5 months away.
Wait, why don't you do that actually? Whenever there's a major game coming out, fuck it, why not just make a easy countdown app? Slap a few ads at the bottom, no like full screen ads, but just like the bottom roll thing ads. Boom, and you can make money like that. Ooh. I wonder how you. I mean, I wonder if that's actually like if that's like you should do that. That sounds good. You just make it like you just check like popular games. You boot up Adalo, you make a countdown with the specified date, and you put the graphics in the background or whatever, and then you just put it on App Store, and then you have like small roll ads at the bottom, and you make money like that. Although I don't know if I think maybe the reason they don't make countdown apps anymore is because they're not allowed. Maybe you have to make apps that have like sustenance, you know. What's poppin', baby boo?
Hey, not much, just chilling and ready to chat with you. What's going on in your world?
Listen, before when I was a itty bitty tiny kid, there was like a popular thing where you made countdowns for popular games. I'm talking about like during the iPhone 4, iPhone 5 era. I don't see those anymore. Does App Store have stricter regulations where people aren't allowed to make slop apps like that and post them?
Ah, the good old days. Yeah, Apple definitely tightened things up over time. They put stricter guidelines in place, especially to crack down on apps that don't provide enough unique functionality. So, yeah, countdown apps that just counted days to game releases got the axe because they were seen as too simple or promotional. Apple wants apps to provide more value now. But hey, we still get hype for game releases in other ways, right?
Okay. Okay, so they're not allowed then. Makes sense. I know you can check on websites, but it was like a unique thing. But I mean, nowadays, who gives a shit? Like everyone has a phone, but also, okay. Before, people just didn't put countdowns on their official poster thingies. Like, what's a game that's coming up? I have no idea. I don't even.
He's met with thunderous applause. Again, the claims are bold.
All of this just works. And again, it just works.
Hold on. Is that the release date? That's just 5 months away. But first, look to the skies.
It just
By
works.
gods, it's thundering time. War Thunder is one of the most comprehensive PvP vehicle combat games ever created. 10 nations,
It is.
over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships. From some of the most technologically advanced death machines ever concocted by man, to your granddad's crusty old crop duster. Jump into combat in almost anything. The detail is immaculate. Sharp textures, crisp sounds. Every vehicle is delicately modelled right down to the corest of components. Engines, fuel tanks, weapons, and even the lads inside. All of these are individually targetable, and in X-ray view, you'll see everything close up. The game has had over 95 million players. Join them. War Thunder is free to play on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and now mobile devices too. You're a new or returning player on PC or consoles? Well, for a limited time, here's a massive bonus pack, including an exclusive
Where does that
vehicle
character come
decorator,
from? I've seen him
Eagle
before.
of Valor, 100,000 silver lions, 7 days of premium, plus a ton more.
It's the
Just
one
sign
with
up-
Johnny Depp, I think. Yeah, it is. That's the Mad Rabbit. Alice in Wonderland, something.
through the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Now, for some quick context, a few years before Fallout 4 was even announced, Bethesda let Obsidian Entertainment, a Californian development team with several key people from Fallout's original dev team, take the wheel and crank out a Fallout 3 spin-off based on their original plan for Fallout 3 back in 2004. With only 18 months to get the game out the door, they got to work immediately, and in 2010, Fallout New Vegas was released. Wait, was that traits from the first games? Joinable factions? An in-depth reputation system?
I hate the air that you breathe!
And actual skill and attribute checks in dialogue and out.
I'm not gonna lie. Fallout 4 is the best Fallout to ever exist. These fucking boomer cucks are stuck in the past. These people just need to go and read a Harry Potter book. This is so annoying. I like these games where you like make choices and you role play, and like I'm playing the Outer World 2 right now. But the reality is, unless you have severe autism, you will be skipping through about a 75% plus, 75+% of the dialogues, because they're just a bunch of random NPCs. And these people just want like a standstill role-playing like game. Just go read a fucking book, man.
In the world.
Man, I can't wait to see the look on his face.
Also, the writing here is actually good. The world? Pretty deeply thought out, with multiple factions at play, an interesting conflict, and actual player choice. The characters are also well written, and if you don't like someone, that's fine, because this is always an option. Then there's almost every chain of side quests in the game affecting the main story and the ending slideshow. There are actually hundreds of endings here. We were looking at a 3D Fallout game with actual RPG mechanics and good writing here. In fact, the game had fixed almost everything wrong with Fallout 3, and it was phenomenal. Obsidian even had to work.
Fallout New Vegas is amazing, but the combat and the gameplay is quite boring. It's good in every aspect except the actual gameplay, and that's what these nerds want, I guess. But what about the gameplay? Fallout 4 has the best gameplay. It has the best gameplay, the best combat, best weapon, well, best feeling, at least in terms of combat.
Work around the crusty Gamebryo engine code, with all the issues that came with it. For instance, if anything in the game is voiced, there has to be a character to actually voice it. This leads to characters in the game like Ron the narrator, Bill the tax collector, and Testicles the debug centurion. The ending slideshow is also an actual in-game slideshow your character's locked into looking at, with Ron the narrator behind it. Anyway, due to the engine, the short development time they'd been given, and the colossal 500 megabytes of RAM they'd had to work with consoles, the big plans they had for the city had to be trimmed considerably. But 18 months in, and Obsidian had made one of the best role-playing games of all time. However, because it's so jam-packed and was made in such a short time, it has a rough start. It's horrifically buggy and horribly optimized on release, almost unplayable in some cases. There's literally a bug where you can't enter the main strip of New Vegas without wearing the old cowboy hat. The bugs are eventually patched, but because of its release date, New Vegas receives 84 points on Metacritic. That was just 1 point short for the bonus Bethesda would have given them, as per the contract. As a result, layoffs at Obsidian, and around 20 to 30 people are banished.
That's so weird.
Nefarious theories about Bethesda begin to float. Some fans even
83
suggest
is really
Game was
good.
rigged from the start.
Also,
Obsidian fan the contract.
what a
That was
shit
just because of its release date.
contract.
New Vegas receives 84 points on Metacritic. That was just 1 point short for the New Vegas receives 84 points on Metacritic. That was just 1 point short for the bonus Bethesda would have given them, as per the contract.
What a weird predatory contract. Why not just make it whether or not it's successful in terms of sales? Why the fuck would you give a shit about the ratings? Like, they probably earned the most money from this game because it was so successful.
Contract. As a result, layoffs at Obsidian, and around 20 to 30 people are banished. Nefarious theories about Bethesda begin to float. Some fans even suggest
Game was rigged from the start.
Obsidian would go on to pitch a Fallout New Vegas 2, and a similar spin-off with Elder Scrolls. A guaranteed cash cow for both parties. But this time, Bethesda says no. And that was the end of it. Fallout 4, probably the most hyped game of 2015. It had been half a decade since we'd last heard anything at all from the franchise, so people are naturally quite excited to jump back in. And on the 10th of November 2015, the game is out the door. The reviews, amazing. 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, Fallout 4.
YouTubers are even calling it near perfect.
Then why did people hate on it?
Amazing.
Oh, they're gonna say
9.5
there's
out of 10.
it's paid reviews, I guess.
YouTubers are even calling it near perfect.
It was.
However, when people actually get their hands on the game,
Okay, here's the problem. Fallout 4, when it came out, for its time, was near perfect. It was. It was amazing. It was far better than Fallout 3 and New Vegas. It was amazing. The problem is when these RP snobs came in after the fact and dissected the game. No. Look at the dialogue in Fallout 2. I can't romance with this side NPC. This is so bogus. They never even criticized the gameplay. It was all like roleplay shit.
they dig in. And it's neither of those things. During development, Bethesda had looked at Fallout 3's gunplay.
It was
Yeah,
awful.
not really up to standards, boys. So they pulled some programmers from id, who were developing Doom at the time, to help them make actual, functional FPS combat. And as a result, the gameplay here, a lot better. The gun modification system from New Vegas is back, and it's heavily expanded.
I thought the modifications, I thought the gun modifications were shit. Like, it seemed good at first. I remember playing it, and at first I was like, "Ooh, look at this! There's so much you can do with the modification." If you download mods, it's awesome, but the baseline modification, they were so bad. It's a scope. It's it's like 3 different things. It's like the handle with the backstock, scope, and then whatever, suppressor muffle you want to use. It was like 3 options. And the muffle things were useless because there was no good alternative for anything. Like, there was only one good one, and the other ones just had more fallback than not using one whatsoever. It was kind of useless. Suppressor was useless on every weapon except the sniper, because by the time you kill them with any other weapon, unless it's a one-hit kill, you're gonna alert the enemies anyway. So what's the point of having a suppressor then? Like 80% of the scopes, you couldn't even see through them because they blocked the majority of the screen. So they were pretty awful. And then the backstock and what, I don't know, it wasn't like a big deal.
It's actually very good here, and utilises the horde of absolute shit you amass while playing the game. Also, more voice actors. So now every 3rd NPC in the game no longer sounds the exact same. Plus, a few other elements of Fallout 4 had clearly taken some inspiration from New Vegas. This game actually has joinable factions, and they play a big role in the resolution of the main storyline. An improvement. Companions are also a lot better than 3's. They have personalities here, and even their own quests too, like in New Vegas. They now also
I hate I mean, I get it's part of the story, and I think Fallout 4 is the first one to do it. I don't know about Fallout 1 and 2, I have no idea. But the power armor, I hate the power armor with every passion I have. I've finished Fallout 4. It's hard to say how many times I've finished it, because most of the time I've gone back to it and I've finished, like, tried to 100% the game, like doing all the quests and everything. And then maybe I spend like 200, 300 hours just trying to do everything, but then I kind of quit when I'm 90% done because I'm not really that interested in like the final mission or whatever. I'm just kind of interested in the exploring and the looting and everything. I hate the power armor so much. I think I've put in about 1,000 hours in Fallout. At least close to that. Fallout 4, close to that. I don't think I've ever actively used the power armor. I hated it so much. I thought it was so shit. It's clunky, it's slow, it obstructs your UI with all the shit going on. It's like slow to turn and look around. It's annoying. You have to think about the limbs being broken and stuff. You have to think about the core, going empty. You have to make sure you have a core with you, because if it runs out and you're in the middle of nowhere, now you have to mark it on the map and run away and find a new core, get back to that place, recover your armor. It was just boring as well. And also you just feel somewhat invincible too, like having God mode on with most enemies. That was also boring. I don't think I actively ever used it. It ruins the gameplay, I think.
Or dislike certain.
I mean, it's fine that they have it in. I get why it's part of the world, but I don't like using it.
You do, depending on said personality. There's now a sprint button, and that new power armor, pretty cool. However, that's generally where the good ends. See, after a bumpy start, Fallout fans had come to love New Vegas, one of the best RPGs of all time, some even claim. And so, As a following game in the same franchise, some people expected Fallout 4 to improve, maybe even build upon it. No. Todd Howard is, at this point, a legendary game designer, a 4 times world champion. His ideas were groundbreaking. He couldn't be caged, and his process was not changing for this game. He, and Bethesda as a whole, could do no wrong. This was going to be another smash hit regardless. Game of the Year was essentially coded in. And so again, simplification. The character system in Fallout 3, far too confusing. Special attributes, perks, and skills? Please. So they remove skills entirely, and merge them into perks and attributes. Traits are still nowhere to be found. The speech.
I mean, kind of agree, but this was also pretty nice. This was also pretty like abundant. Like the amount of skills here, I don't know exactly how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Perks and attributes.
There's 70 unique skills. I mean, that's a lot. 70 unique skills. I think Outer Worlds 2 that I'm playing now, I think it has like 120 though. 70 is a lot. It was pretty good and impressive. And all of them, I felt most of them were kind of useless. So that was kind of boring. But whatever, everyone has like different playstyle. What was cool though is the requirement you had to have, so you had to level up certain things in order to be required to do certain things or whatever. Like let's say this, for example, I don't know what this is. Marksman something. Let's say you want to go melee, so you don't really care about this. But then, you know, sometimes you have to have, let's say this, for example, as a requirement for having a dialogue. And it's like, oh, let's go the sneaky route and try to assassinate this person. And you might need this or whatever. Stuff like that is nice. I mean, not that the other games didn't have it, but still.
Traits
It would be nice if they also had traits, though.
are still nowhere to be found. The speech. See, half the charm of the old Fallouts are the branching effects of dialogue. The various quest lines and scraps of information you can wrangle from people using only the gift of the gab.
The fuck? Who is it? What? I should kick your fucking ass. Who is this?
So for Fallout 4, Emil and the rest of Bethesda's crack writing team sit down. What Fallout really needs is an emotional story, boys. Also,
No,
Todd's been
like that.
quite blatantly gunning for a more mainstream crowd for over a decade now, and no one in the general public can really read anymore due to brain rot. So let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and go for a voiced protagonist. What they didn't see coming, they couldn't possibly have predicted, was that voicing every single line of dialogue your character says in the game 2 times
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
I am Barbie girl, I said.
is a bit expensive and quite time consuming. So Todd and the team do what they do best. Streamline. That old iconic speech system? Get rid of it. That Mass Effect game is pretty good. Let's use theirs. Let's also lock the player down to 4 speech options at all times. And let's not even allow them to see what those options are. Brilliant. This results in a ton of speech options being quite deceiving.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
Wait, I don't remember the main character speaking all the choices you picked. I don't think it did that. Only for the important stuff, like cutscene, semi-cutscenes, I'm pretty sure.
And because writing is hard, let's just boil every speech option down to yes, sarcastic yes, maybe yes, and no, but actually yes. 2 of the first and most popular mods to come out removes the voiceovers entirely and actually shows you what you're saying, and this problem becomes quite plain to see. Skills are gone, and as a result, skill speech checks and dialogue gone too. Special attribute speech checks too. There are charisma speech checks in the game,
I don't believe you.
but they rarely result in anything other than give me money.
All right. 200, 150.
The protagonist's voice lines, which caused half the issues here, make up for around 25% of the game's dialogue data and script. That's about 26,000 lines. All of this time and expense on a feature which fans hate and actively makes the game significantly worse. Brilliant. At least the dialogue's well written.
If you're here to talk me into working on Liberty Prime, you can forget it.
Do I need to remind you why you made that promise in the first place?
No, that won't be necessary. Tell Proctor Ingram to get her scribes ready.
Then there's the karma system, which they'd gotten rid of, the faction system, but instead of the varied reputations like we'd gotten in New Vegas, you're basically either with someone or against them. The skill and attribute checks they had out in the world in Fallout 3, basically nowhere to be found. They did put a couple in there though, just enough to remind us that they could have done it, but didn't. Far fewer evil character options, weapon durability's gone, the new, worse layered armor system.
Oh yeah, that's true. There was no way to be really evil in the game unless you just straight up killed people.
Bolstered weapons are no longer visible, and the ending slideshow is not even gimped, it's just completely non-existent here. The game ends on essentially the exact same cutscene for all 4 endings.
Playing every hour on every channel.
For Fallout 4, Todd also doubled down on the procedural stuff again, and attempted to make the game infinitely replayable. And to do this, they'd cooked up the settlement system.
It's done.
A base building framework that allows you to construct your own towns across the map and establish trade routes between them. Sounds great.
That was cool.
But again, there are issues.
What kind of
The entire interface for base building is
Very
from the
bad.
perspective of the player, limiting and obstructing camera angles, making construction a nightmare. There's also a ton of building and trash in the way that you can't scrap and have to build around. Again, a nightmare. Not a fan of the system? Unlucky. Because this mechanic is pretty much unavoidable. Elements are mandatory in the main quest, and one of the 4 factions' quest lines completely revolves around it.
I'm confused. One of the coolest things I saw, one of the coolest things was that your settlements that you took over could be attacked by enemies. But I don't know, that never happened, ever. I have almost 1,000 hours. I feel like that I've seen that happen maybe twice or 3 times, and I feel like those were like scripted events as well. Like I thought that was gonna happen like actively, like oh you get a calm like you better get here, the settlement is being attacked, and then you know you have the turret things, and then you assign people to be on guard, and you give them weapons and stuff. I thought it was gonna be more of that. That would have been sick, but I saw nothing of that. Or like when you establish trade routes from settlement to settlement, it would be cool. I feel like that was per automatic with just a timer. It would be cool if you like, you know those 2-headed cows or whatever that you can see wander around with loot with a merchant, stuff like that. Like you should send those, and then that can be attacked by random scavengers. I don't think that was definitely nothing. Stuff like that would be cool. Or like, let's say you have something valuable you need sent somewhere, and they don't allow you to carry it yourself. It would be like, oh, escort this, or you have like a 20% chance for raiders to maybe steal it or something.
However, a benefit. Due to this new settlement system,
All of this just works.
players can now build their own settlements. No need for Bethesda to even bother. As a result, the game is majorly lacking in actual towns. Morrowind had something like 21 towns. Fallout 3 had about 15 proper settlements. New Vegas
Yeah, but
around
those 15
too.
were pretty big. And
Fallout 4, 5 years later, somewhere around 7. The main city is also quite underwhelming. Less settlements equals less quests. And surprise, surprise, Fallout 4 is lacking here too. It has less than Skyrim, a game that came out 4 years earlier. Missing the towns and quests our old games had an abundance of? Well, here's a tiny hovel next to a lake for you to do up yourself. There are around 30 of these potential settlements, and Bethesda
and they
uses
do
these
nothing.
to pad out the game's lack of content via more radiant quests. See, there's a man in the game called Preston Garvey, and he's about to become your worst nightmare. Prepare to hear this every time you speak to the man for the rest of the game. Naturally, the character is widely hated.
I'll mark it on your map.
But turns out, he's essential. 10,000 people download a mod solely dedicated to killing him. There's also a mod that just stops him giving out quests in an attempt to make him more tolerable. It has around 50,000 downloads. Others turn to alternative ways of doing that. Settlements are also just kind of pointless.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
They have no impact on the main quest, and most of the actual settlers are just basic, randomly generated NPCs. You get money and items from establishing trade routes, but at the end of the game, you're pretty much drowning in all of that anyway. But Todd wasn't finished with the procedural stuff just yet. In New Vegas, there were a ton of unique weapons. These had unique effects and actually looked unique. In 3, most uniques had unique effects, but looked exactly the same as their default. In 4, due to the new procedural legendary weapon system, any gun can now basically have any effect, meaning no weapons here actually feel unique. The same goes for armor. When it comes down to the amount of actual content in the game, disappointment here too. Cut content, par for the course for Bethesda games, but it's never...
Bethesda has always had this problem. Their armor is always useless. I've never played a Bethesda game where their armor is not fucking useless. It's like 99% the same, and then once you find like one really good one, you'll just use that one until the end of the game, because chances are you're not really gonna find anything that's better or more unique or that goes above it. Like in Outer Worlds 2 that I'm playing now, I got one legendary armor and helmet set. I'm like, oh yeah, this is really good. And now I've played like 20 hours since I got that armor set. And even though I found other legendaries, nothing after that has been like interesting or good enough for me to replace mine. So it's just all trash.
Been more apparent. The map is densely populated like Skyrim, with a ton of interesting locations. The issue is, they all essentially end up just being a nice little backdrop to murder people in. Oh cool, a town made out of old boat, barge and ship parts. It's just a bunch of raiders you have to kill. A gladiator-style arena in the middle of downtown Boston, just a bunch of raiders to kill, with no reason to ever return. Fallout 4 is barely even attempting to be an RPG anymore. It's a sandbox, base building, looter-shooter, action exploration game. In 3, Bethesda had absolutely nailed the atmosphere. It's pretty much unanimously praised. So in 4, they change it completely. The gloomy, gritty, post-apocalyptic vibes of 3 turn into bright, colourful and hopeful in Fallout 4. The music too. Also, for a AAA game in 2015, the graphics are not great. Stiff animations and pretty horrific textures across the board. The super mutants look especially bad. Compared to The Witcher 3 the same year,
looked amazing when it came out.
Not great.
It still holds up.
Despite the bad graphics, the game runs terribly. Fallout 4 also features an art style change that in a lot of cases does the game no favours. Some weapons look weird, tools look worse, and super mutants go from deformed, hunched over mutants to just large green men. We don't talk about the synth armor. Also, is that gun bolt on the wrong side? The writing. Again, Emil is back as head writer, and as a result, we're served an absolute masterclass of storytelling. We emerge from a vault, looking for an immediate family member. Again. The big silver people, they're back, and central to the storyline. Again. Look, Giant Robot Man finale. Again. Wow. Also, you've just left the vault with the sole mission of finding your only child, who's just been ripped from the clutches of your lifeless spouse, only to immediately get sidetracked by Steve down the road, who needs some help building a shed. Not too long after the game comes out, Emil does a talk where he explains his writing method. It's controversial.
Keep it simple, stupid. This is what happens at Bethesda. When you write the main story of a game, we're gonna write the great American novel. It's gonna be this thick.
Keep it simple, stupid.
And you're gonna give this book, this great American novel, to the player. And what are they gonna do with it? They're gonna rip out every page and make paper airplanes out of them. And they're never gonna see your story. They are gonna spend 30 hours making shacks. This is who we're making the game for. That's not the end of being a video game developer. Because the true mark of being a real developer is waiting.
What the? Is that real? Why does he sound so condescending?
They are going to spend 30 hours making shacks. This is who.
Like, look at these retards. These are the people we're making the game for. Look at these retards. What?
We're making the game for. That's not the end of being a video game developer, because the true mark of being a real developer is waiting for reviews to come in, and then reading the reviews, of course, and hopefully, if you get lucky, ignoring the reviews.
Then there's the design.
I mean,
of the game.
he's correct, but he's correct in the sense that the majority of people will not follow a complex storyline in a RPG open world FPS. But there's like a nice sweet spot between complexity and, I guess, stupidity.
Emil is head of that too. See, lead designers of a game usually have this thing called a design document. This is available to everyone on the team and sets out pretty much everything the game is trying to achieve, keeping everyone on the same page at all times. New people join the company midway through development, just send them the design doc, and they'll be up to speed. Design docs are usually constantly updated throughout development, so if something changes, it'll be reflected on the document. But turns out, the lead designer is not a fan. Design docs take a bit of time to keep up to date, and it's just a bit too much effort. So for Fallout 4, he basically just scraps it, apparently resorting to a few smaller ones for specific areas of development. Now, Bethesda games are not small projects. Their studios consists of hundreds of people, collaborating across multiple countries.
We don't give two shits about how technology works, because all we care about is getting rich.
And now they're going about this without a cohesive, shared document. Doesn't sound ideal.
Not a great plan.
He receives a ton of backlash for this, and later walks it back in a tweet. And of course, the bugs are numerous. And incredibly basic things are still missing. There's still no ultra-wide support, or even an FOV slider, even though you can easily change it by modifying the ini file. This is on a PC in the year 2015. But of course, Bethesda knows their fanbase will clean it all up for them, so it's all good. When Fallout 4 first released in November 2015, Todd and the boys offered a season pass for $30, including access to all future DLC content. At the time, the scope of the DLC isn't public knowledge, but the last two Fallouts had a clear formula of 4 to 5 decently sized story expansions, with new locations, quests, weapons, and enemies. So people expect something similar here. Bethesda had also stated that the season pass would be worth at least $40 in total. Pretty sweet deal. February 2016, and Bethesda has an announcement. They've expanded their original vision for 4's DLC.
Are you with me?
And the season pass price is getting bumped up to $50 in March. If you hadn't already, you better get that season pass now. They released their first expansion that same month, and it's a small quest line with a character from Fallout 3, as well as a new robot building system. It's alright, I guess. April 2016, and DLC 2 is released, Wasteland Workshop. This is basically just a few more things you can craft for your settlements, and some arena fighting.
I've played throughout the whole game with and without every single DLC. With no DLC and without any DLC. It feels like it doesn't even feel like there's any difference.
Okay. May 2016, and we get the first proper expansion, Far Harbor. And this is actually decent. Bethesda had clearly taken in some feedback here, because it includes actual RPG elements and is decently written. Let's just ignore that one quest there. They then released 2 more workshop DLCs. Exciting stuff. Then the second full expansion, Nuka World, releases in August. Again, this expansion is good. The season pass was shaping up to be a pretty good buy. Wait, this was the last DLC? So that was 2 actual expansions, a small quest line, and then some tiny crafting DLC. Fans are pretty pissed.
People will buy anything. That doesn't mean...
Despite the issues, the game sells insanely well. Todd had done it again. And Fallout goes mainstream. Mass appeal. And hundreds of millions are conjured yet again. Todd gets suited and booted, and heads to the Game Awards, ready to sweep up yet again. But once he gets there, something feels different. The atmosphere. It's off. Todd has some white wine and dips into the salmon pinwheel. It's fine. It's probably nothing. And the lights dim, and there it is. Best RPG.
The best RPG.
Fallout 4.
The winner is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
What? Developer of the year.
For Developer of the Year goes to CD Projekt Red.
What? Game of the year.
And the winner for Game
I
of the Year
hated
2015
Witcher 3.
is
I couldn't get through the
Witcher
first hour.
3.
What?
I thought it was awful.
Outrage. Todd Howard snubbed. He leaves and gets cracking on his next game. This thing was going to be a masterpiece. The consistent regression of their games definitely noted, but Bethesda...
Throughout the first hour, I was stuck behind dialogue dumping galore. I tried to get into the story and the dialogue. I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. And then, the beginning started and then 10 minutes went by. I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. 20 minutes went by and I hadn't even got to move my character. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a chance. And then it's like, take this horse and go to this tower. That was like 35 seconds away. I was like, okay, now the gameplay begins. Then I get to the tower and then more fucking dialogue dumping. And I was stuck for 10 more minutes. And after that, I just checked out.
Still has a generally tremendous reputation. In a market currently setting its sights exclusively on your mother's credit card.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Good evening, sir. I'm calling from your credit card company.
Bethesda had stuck it out, remained single player, and actively avoided egregious monetization. Mostly. One of the few decent gaming companies left. But around 2016, and even this begins to change. In October, Bethesda Softworks decides to make a controversial change. See, game reviewers typically get sent out review copies a few days or even weeks before games come out. This is so they have enough time to actually play the game before writing an entire review on it for launch day. For longer, single-player games like the ones Bethesda Softworks publish, this is pretty important. But Bethesda now reckons, nah, let's just send review copies out one day before launch. So, everyone, including those in the media, get to experience our games at the same time. Definitely not to sweep glitches and issues with the games under the rug until everyone had already bought the game. This is obviously quite controversial, and after releasing a couple of games under this, they backpedal. Also, around the same time, a tiny indie developer is developing a small game called Pray for the Gods. ZeniMax hears about this and comes knocking. Nice name you got there, pal. But turns out, we already have a game with the word pray in the title. Nothing personal, kid. They're forced to change the name. A few years before that, Mojang was making a game called Scrolls. ZeniMax had come knocking then too. Same result. Also in 2016, Todd has a surprise for us. It had been 2 years since Fallout 4, and players are starting to get hungry once more. And lucky for us, Todd and the boys had something in store. Another edition of Skyrim. That was on top of Skyrim Legendary Edition back in 2013, Skyrim VR Edition, which would release in 2017, and Skyrim Nintendo Switch Edition shortly after that. Fans are overjoyed. That's not all. The special edition...
I feel like
for
Skyrim... I don't know why. I played Skyrim once, I think. It felt like Skyrim came out like 6 times. I'm so confused.
Skyrim listing on Steam. It also changes the game from 32-bit to 64-bit, meaning every single mod is now automatically broken and needs updating. It's not all bad. They announce mods on consoles. They also announce paid mods for all platforms. The Creation Club. It was simple.
Oh, no.
Slide some cash over to modders to create a mod that probably already exists on the Nexus for free. Create their own currency with predatory pricing models. And then sell these mods to players through it. The first few creations are simply jaw-dropping. An $8 Chinese stealth suit, pretty much identical to the one in the base game of Fallout 3, for free, and also currently available on the Nexus, for free. And look, horse armor again. Brilliant. 2018. It's rumoured that Todd is working on a massive, brand new IP. Their first in 25 years.
This is outer space.
So naturally,
Starfield.
we're probably not going to hear much from him for a while. But then, on May the 29th, another countdown appears. This time on Bethesda's own Twitch. On it, the words, "Please stand by." My god, it's happening again.
Hey, it's happening! Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
And then, there he is.
Have we waited long enough, guys?
Wait, what was this? It was only 3 years since the last Fallout. Could this be the massively anticipated New Vegas sequel? Perhaps Fallout 5 skipped the queue. Speculation goes wild.
Everything on this wall is connected.
Regardless, the next day, the countdown drizzles down to 0, and the world sees the next Fallout for the very first time. Excitement, although people still don't really know what it is they're excited for. June 10th, it's E3. Todd charges on stage, and we get some actual details of the game.
Fallout 76 is entirely online. All new rendering, lighting, and landscape
16
technology.
times
it is
the
4
detail.
times the size of Fallout 4. 16 times the detail. Of course you can play this solo. You'll never even see a server when you play.
This all sounded brilliant. An online PvP base building
That's also not
survival
true.
game. The collector's edition looks promising too.
And it also comes with a Fallout collectible that really I've always wanted, so we made them for everybody to buy, and here it is.
Okay, no, but we do get a
Wait, I played this game. Did I have it on Steam? It was the biggest fucking piece of shit ever. And I didn't even play it that long. No, I don't know where I bought it. I think I might have, I bought it on those cheap code websites. I think I got, either I got it on their own launcher maybe, or I got a Steam login to use. I don't remember. Oh, it was so awful. But my game experience got ruined by a fucking annoying ass player. Fucking hell, so annoying. I don't know who that was, but he oh my god, I hate players like that. It was so annoying. Straight from I just wanted to play alone. And straight from spawn, there was a player that was like level, I don't know, 356 or something. He just camped spawn and he did the worst thing ever. He didn't kill me, even though I'm not sure if you could, I don't remember. But he decided to mommy me throughout the whole playthrough. He just kept on following me around, dropping maxed out gear for me, and just killing all the enemies. And he sucked too, because he was level 350 or something. And he kept on dying. And I think, I don't remember how it worked, but I think that they have some weird scaling system that if you're in a party with someone higher level than you, then the monsters scale with all of you in the like the part. It scales with the like the people in the party or whatever, and then it scales to monsters like that. It was just miserable, and he kept on stalking me the whole time. It was so annoying.
A map
that glows in the f***ing dark,
and some army figures, alongside a canvas bag. It's also the perfect time to tease Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, two games that are around 5 and 10 years out from launch respectively. But anyway, this thing's coming out on November the 14th, and that was just 5 months away. Bethesda had held a beta a couple of weeks before launch for people who'd pre-ordered the game, and things start out rough. By this point, Bethesda weren't exactly known for the structural integrity of their software, and they'd decided to launch the game exclusively on their brand new Bethesda launcher, made in-house by Bethesda's best. Just go to their website, download it, slurp up the 45 gigabytes of game files, and in around a week's time when the beta's unlocked, just hit play. Simple enough. And players do exactly this, but turns out, for some, upon pressing the play, the launcher deletes the entire game instantly. Bethesda releases an emergency statement telling players to stay calm and not to touch anything. They're working on it. And then promptly deletes the tweet. Things are off to a good start. Also, the YouTubers. They're uploading videos. They're not good. They say the game is running horrifically.
I couldn't get the game to run smoothly. I had tons of FPS issues and tons of stutters.
Even on NASA tier PCs, and that bugs are everywhere. But fans disagree. The dislikes come in hard and fast. Bethesda would obviously fix everything before release. This is a beta after all.
Right.
However, this is a beta about 3 weeks out from launch. Fans close YouTube and head over to Twitch, where Rick and Morty are streaming the game.
I know I'm naked, but just come help me out. No funny business.
Everything was gonna be okay. 14th of November 2018, and the world is blessed with Fallout 76. And after downloading a day 1 patch bigger than the game itself, players boot up and step out into what would be
An untamed and very different wasteland.
Todd had made some grand promises, and the follow-through was nothing short of incredible. Voluptuous size, and the detail, simply eye-watering. However, Fallout 76's development was handed to a newer, relatively inexperienced Bethesda team in Austin, with the main Bethesda Maryland just designing and overlooking the development of the game. And turns out, this new team decided to forego bug testing entirely, and on launch, Christ.
Oh my god!
Can't have bugs if you don't test for
It's a
it.
glitch!
Flying enemies, invisible enemies,
Hello?
naked enemies, upside down naked enemies, invincible players,
Shot. Or not. I could get the damage bug.
pop-ins, rendering issues,
16 times the detail.
random god rays, T-poses, server crashes,
Hey, bye-bye, bitch. Told you.
and muscle man.
I don't get it.
Animations
Where's
are
this
also off.
16 times the
There's a
details?
ton
It
of
looks
exploits.
exactly
And
like
so
Fallout
much
4.
more.
What the f is going on?
The year is also 2018, and Bethesda's newest AAA game is capped at 60 frames per second, even on PC. Naturally, players are quite annoyed, so they dig into the game files and start tinkering. And in a mere few minutes, they figure out a simple fix. However, turns out the cap's there for a reason, because turn it off,
No shit.
and time and space itself speeds up and destabilizes. This is because the game world's physics are actually tied to the frame rate of the game. Head over 100, and your character becomes the Flash. This bug has been in Bethesda's engine code dating back to Morrowind, and it's one of the many bugs modders have repeatedly fixed on their own, almost instantly after release, only for every following game to reintroduce it. There's also still no FOV slider,
Keep getting away with it!
so PC players dig into the game files again and do it themselves. But turns out, the UI is tied to the field of view here. Change this, and the UI elements are just gone. Push to talk? Sorry, not this time. Proximity chat is either permanently off or always on, the latter by default, meaning you'll be hearing the cries of children and screams of mothers in the distance fairly often. There's also no text chat, and on PC, you can barely remap the horrific controls. The game itself, also quite lacking. As was now well established, bug fixes and patches for Bethesda games had been outsourced to modders for free. But for Fallout 76, Todd decided to outsource the actual content too.
My personal favorite part of Fallout 76 is when they create their own fun.
See, Bethesda had so much of their team working on the detail
16 times the
that developing actual things to do in interactable NPCs simply not possible. And the game features absolutely no human characters.
I saw
only
no
other
NPCs
players.
when I played.
But it's alright. Other players will take the place of NPCs, Todd reassures us. With no NPCs in the game, naturally, the quests are terrible. The main quest line basically boils down to following the trail of someone's vlogs across the map. Okay, at least there's the side quests. Stuff like find Steve. Oh, Steve's dead. Thank God he left this TikTok behind for us to watch.
The war is over.
You are out of uniform, soldier! Where is your power armor? That suit is gonna come out of your pay! Now get out of my face and don't come back until you look like a soldier!
Fantastic. The game features PvP, but the PvP is horrific. Instead of simply adding PvP and PvE servers, Todd attempts to toe a tight middle ground and makes it so two players have to shoot each other before either can do any actual damage. Shoot someone that hasn't shot you back yet, and you may as well be shooting blanks. And the graphics, still not great.
Beautiful, stunning, 2018. Ah, magnifique.
It's not all bad.
Damn, it
There
came
are
out
some cool
2018.
things here, like dropping nukes, but drop more than one at a time and the servers will implode.
You'll never even see a server when you play.
The launch codes are also the same for every server and change once a week. Just spent countless hours getting all 8 pieces. You could have just googled them. The building is alright, but the build limit is extremely restricted, and all you can really do is build crafting stations, a bed, and storage.
Please don't tell anyone how I live.
Storage that is, again, extremely restricted. They end up raising it by 50% after a huge number of complaints, but they say they can't do any more due to server performance issues. So the game itself, not smooth. But the one thing that does work perfectly on launch is the new in-game shop, the Atomic Shop. Come in and browse such luxuries as a set of power armor with some paint slapped on for just $20.
That's $15.
Deal.
Oh, 20.
Are you f***ing serious?
Do you like $7 digital fridges? Do you like the outfits you got for free in our last game? Great, come in and spend some money. Naturally, at first, there are pay-to-win concerns around this store. But Todd comes out. It's alright. You can earn the currency in-game, the purchases would fund the upcoming free expansions for the game, and most assuring of all, the Atomic Shop is and would stay cosmetic only, so that PvP would stay completely balanced and fair. We're definitely not asset flipping Fallout 4 and selling it back to you for dozens of dollars, and there are absolutely no fake discounts and law-breaking price schemes. Nice. Time to get spending. Naturally, the game doesn't make it a few days before discounts appear. The game starts at $60. Within just 1 week, a third of that is nixed. 50% sales not long after that. Alongside the discounts, hordes of fans had been requesting refunds. Initially, Bethesda had given in, but now, no more. Some people are even promised them, only to have Bethesda backtrack the next day. See, if this was on Steam, they'd have to give the green light for these. But here's the thing, it's on that old launcher of theirs. Check and mate. But then come murmurs of a class action lawsuit, and they backtrack immediately. So the game is absolutely horrendous, and naturally, the sales are too. Also, no Game Awards, not even a nomination, and a whopping 2.6 on Metacritic. Right boys, should probably do something here. They can't rely on modders to fix the game this time round, so Bethesda gets to work on actual patches, and after a few months, Fallout 76 slowly morphs into something resembling a playable game. Also, the boys in Bethesda's R&D department had been working round the clock. And by the end of 2018, was that an FOV slider? Widescreen? Even push to talk? What was happening? Despite the progress, there are some bugs they just can't quite crack. Also, a teleportation exploit using cameras, hackers finding a way to spawn in weapons, armor, and other objects into the game, even NPCs and stuff from other games.
Bethesda just does not have the infrastructure in place that allows them to deal with situations like this efficiently.
These hackers are also running around stealing people's entire inventory. They don't even have to see you to do this, as long as they're within the general radius of the player.
Why are you running?
And because the Pip-Boy is technically an item in your inventory, say goodbye to that too. Luckily, thanks to another glitch, the game checks if you have a Pip-Boy every time you log onto a server, so join a new server and you'll be alright. It takes Bethesda around a week to address this, and when they do fix it, hundreds of people have lost everything. Victims are given two options: roll back their progress to before the muggings, or meet up with someone from Bethesda in a private world who will hand all your stuff back to you. But despite the improvements in the game, problems are surfacing outside of it. As part of the collector's edition, they'd promised a canvas bag, quite clearly labelled here. But
it
in
was not
launch day,
canvas.
Horror for collectors as they unboxed their editions.
It was
and it was
polyester.
nowhere to be found. Instead, a cheap nylon bag in its place.
Nylon.
After suggesting a canvas shortage and then denying replacements, they backtrack again and hand out a form for people to fill out a replacement. This goes through very smoothly, with no issues. However, this is not the only underwhelming merchandise. September 2019. It's been around a year since release, and after countless bug fixes, Fallout 76 is in okay shape, and now the game and its mishaps are largely forgotten. But the collector's edition wasn't finished. It would spring up one more time in the media. This time it was the helmets. They were accumulating dangerous levels of mold. If you were the lucky owner of one of the collectible Nuka-Cola versions, turns out the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission considers them a severe health risk for anyone with one in the household. They're recalled and refunded. Bethesda's reputation was already slipping before the events of 76, but Fallout 76 was a major tipping point. Gamers were angry. They were rising up. So angry, these gamers made numerous angry YouTube videos and forum posts, most of which attained a ton of upvotes from other angry gamers. Things were getting serious. Bethesda thought it best not to respond to the horror that was the launch of this game, and return to the shadows, and Todd and the boys lay low, go off the grid. Before launch, you could often find Pete Hines, Vice President of Bethesda Softworks and Head of Marketing and PR on Twitter, answering curious fans' questions about the game. Afterwards, nothing. Complete radio silence. But after a while, the game is improving. The roadmap that initially launched for the game is taking shape, and the expansions are actually decent. They'd even added actual NPCs. Wow. Todd had even apologized.
Fallout 76 had a lot of difficulties at launch, and we got a lot of well-deserved criticism.
To the optimistic, it looked like things at Bethesda had in fact begun to change. Their trail of greed, incompetence, outright refusal to listen to what their fanbase wanted was just a brief nightmare, a small bump in the road. Finished. Unfortunately, Todd had other plans. They'd said Fallout 76 would never be pay to win. Microtransactions would be cosmetic only. So when they released repair kits to the Atomic Shop in early 2019, fans are confused. Todd had lied? But he wasn't finished. In 2020, the promised private servers arrive, and they're paywalled behind Fallout 76's new subscription service. Fallout First. Private servers, unlimited storage for scrap, monthly atoms, exclusive cosmetics, and a tent. All for just $13 a month. More expensive than Netflix at the time. Oh god. Fallout 76 is trending on Twitter again. A ton of angry forum posts are cropping up. People are not happy. Also, they forgot to reserve the actual Fallout First domain name, and someone on 4chan managed to get there first. Of course, this service was not without issues. The private servers turned out to use recycled multiplayer worlds that had evidence of recent activity from other players, such as dead enemies, looted areas, and so on. The infinite stash was gobbling up people's scrap, which they could no longer find. Yeah, once again, things were not smooth. It's now 2020 and up at corporate movement. See, Back in 2007, a private equity firm called Providence had bought around 300 million ZeniMax shares, and then some more in 2010. They're presumed to hold around 30 to 40% of the stock. What followed was a shopping spree. ZeniMax uses this money to buy Tango Gameworks, id, and Arcane, and rumour is, by 2016, their little investment has paid off quite nicely, and Providence is looking to lock in some profits and sell. However, at this point, ZeniMax are only valued at $2.5 billion. That was embarrassing. We can do better, boys. And so, a plan is hatched. Instead of sticking to huge, intermittent, high-quality releases every few years, let's consider the quarterly cash flows. How about a few mobile games, price tags on mods, egregiously priced cosmetics, and then the masterpiece that was Fallout 76.
Oh my god.
There. Now, on paper, the company looks great. Just forget about everything else. And the plan works perfectly. Microsoft's Phil Spencer marches straight into their office, and on September 21st, 2020, they announced the acquisition of ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion. And on the 9th of March 2021, the deal goes through. Xbox now has 23 game studios, and the prime cut of the meat, Todd Howard and the boys. Morrowind was a generational leap, effectively laying the foundation for the modern open world game and setting the blueprint for all following Bethesda titles. Todd was the visionary behind it, but with little competition, a horrific engine, and a complete dismissal of fan feedback, innovation turned to safe, stagnant, and outdated and repetitive releases. And by 2021, it was clear. The Bethesda we once knew was no longer. It's him. How did he find you? Todd leans in gently, hair combed to perfection, his frosty eyes glistening. A faint aroma of jasmine and manuka honey radiates from him. You stand strong and firm. You've fallen for this before. There's nothing he could say to fool, but then you feel his touch. The hairs on your neck shoot up as he leans in, the manuka now hot in your nostrils, and he whispers in your ear once more.
Painstakingly huge, 4 times the size. You'll need a free hand.
Todd's next game was coming out next year, and you'd just pre-ordered it. Also, don't forget to download War Thunder using the links below. New and returning PC and console players get a massive bonus pack including an exclusive vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions, 7 days of premium and a ton more